Welcome to the show From the Soapbox to the Stage. I'm your host, Bill Corbett. Now, I'd like to welcome my newest viewers watching the show on the Public Access channel out of Houston Community College, Houston, Texas. Their viewers join the thousands now watching the show on Public Access channels across the country. Now, if you've ever dreamed of standing on a stage to inspire, educate, or motivate an audience, then stay tuned. I'll be interviewing top speakers and sharing tips on each episode for helping aspiring speakers, as well as those who've already stepped onto a stage, how to move from public speaker to professional speaker. Many professionals present as part of their business marketing plan, but how many of those actually get invited back to do it again? Only those with the talent and professional business skills that meeting planners and event organizers are looking for. That's what viewers will learn here as they hear from professional speakers who have been there and have done it. Now, with me on the show today is Diane Goodman, president and founder of the Goodman Speakers Bureau out of Windsor, Connecticut. She founded the company in 1979, and since its inception, Goodman Speakers Bureau has enjoyed an impeccable reputation for trust and integrity and is well known among meeting planners throughout the world. Diane has earned her professional designation as a CMP, that's Certified Meeting Planner, and she is an active member and volunteer for several associations in the meeting planning industry. Welcome to the show, Diane.
Thank you so much, Bill. It's really a pleasure to be here.
So it's so cool to know that you're right in my backyard,
Right in the
and
backyard.
you're such a big Speakers Bureau. So tell us a little bit about, really quickly, what a Speakers Bureau is and how you started yours.
Okay, well, a Speakers Bureau works with organizations, meeting planners, and corporations, associations all over the world, really, in helping them identify and secure the appropriate speaker for a meeting. We're kind of like a matchmaker. And I started, actually we're celebrating 35 years right now, so long time. And when I started, there were maybe a handful of bureaus in the country. Now there's hundreds of them, but I fell into it like many speakers fell into the speaking business. I fell into the bureau business by chance. I was doing a lot of volunteer work back then, and there was no place to find speakers. So I thought, well, this could be an interesting thing to do. And so I bought a mailing list. I made a little brochure, and I sent it out to thousands of people around, mostly in the state at that time, and really thought I'd be servicing nonprofits and things that I was familiar with. And my little tear-off cards came back from these corporations, and they checked off this box of other, and they hand wrote in motivational speakers, economists, and I had no idea what they were talking about. So I kind of stopped at that point and went out and started talking to these companies and realized that I fell into this billion-dollar industry. And so I quickly sort of shifted gears and started over again basically and recruited all kinds of different speakers and really tried to understand what the needs of the client were. One thing I've tried really hard to do all these years and still to this day am really very committed to the clients. I mean, they're the ones who are hiring the speakers. They're the ones we have to listen to and try to understand and get to know their culture, their organization, their executives, what's on their mind. So speakers are wonderful, and of course I love all my speakers, but it's the client who really drives the direction that we take things. So I spend a lot of time probing and asking questions, and in order to really service them, they need to really communicate as much as they can about their meeting, their event, their company, so that we can really recommend those that are most appropriate and save them time. I mean, that's really what our job is too. I mean, now of course with the internet, lots of people out there Googling themselves, and you know, I joke with planners, we do go out a lot and try to educate meeting planning teams, because our industry is part of the meeting industry that a lot of people don't really understand what we do, how we do what we do, how do we find speakers, what do we look for, and how do we service them. And you know, I say to them, if you Google motivational speaker, and of course it changes by the minute, but there is something like 12,850,000 whatever hits that come up. So why would you want to do that? You know, we're the experts. We bring a lot of value and expertise to the table. You know, we've been around a long time and know what to look for, know what's best for different companies and audiences, and what speakers resonate best for the most part. You know, anyone, I think, can put up a decent video of themselves, a few-minute YouTube clip, and have a nice website that says, this is who I am and I'm the best speaker in the world, hire me. What else do you know about them? You know we do a lot of vetting, and we really know a lot about people and their character and who's going to hang around and shake hands and talk to people, and who's just going to come in and not really care where they are. So I'm very proud of what we've done and how I've built the business to really maintain that kind of integrity and value that we bring to our clients.
And you're right, there is no, back then there was no real listing directory you could go to for speakers. In fact, I had my own experience with that. I decided in the late 80s, early 90s that I was going to be a speaker, and I was just starting out, and making sometimes speaking for free a lot.
Oh, yes.
But I remember one time my wife was working for a company, and her boss came out to her and said, "Find me a speaker for the managers meeting." And she didn't know what to do, so she opened the Yellow Pages. She started looking for a professional speaker.
Yeah.
So she calls me up. Now she knew that I was starting my speaking business, so she calls me up and she said, "I'm supposed to find a speaker for this meeting, and there's nothing listed in the Yellow Pages." And I went, "What about me?"
Right.
She goes, "You're not a speaker, you're my husband." Yeah.
Yeah, really.
But back in those days there was no, and that's where speakers bureaus really came in to play a big
Exactly.
role. And now, of course, with the internet, we're all closer together. We can get more information, but of course, that means anybody can claim that they're a motivational
Absolutely.
speaker.
So it's even more important for people to be working with bureaus if they can, because we really understand and can bring value to the meeting and really help them put that agenda together that makes sense. And it doesn't cost any more to work with a bureau. So you get all these added things. The other thing I always say to people when they say, "Well, I don't really need a middle person. I can do this. I mean, and I say, "Well, that's fine. You can find someone, but then what? What about contracting? What if that speaker gets sick, or what? I mean, you have no backup. You have no one to help you through some kind of crisis." So.
And it's really funny, the organizational leaders that I've worked with in the past, they want to save the money, right? So they want to get all the managers together, whatever, and they don't want to spend, they want to spend $1,000, which is crazy, $500, and then they're unhappy with the speaker they get, and you go, you get what you pay for.
Well, I often laugh sometimes that the budget for the speaker seems to be the last thing they put on the budget, and I encourage all of our clients to have that conversation early on with the executives. We've put together a workbook called Survive the Search that is downloadable on our website, actually, that really is a tool to help people understand what questions they need to ask. And then we have an executive version that if they only have 5 minutes with that executive, that they can talk about the program and speakers. We have 5 key questions they have to ask. And really, they need to know what's on the minds of their executives. I mean, oftentimes I will ask them, "What books are they reading?" And they look at me like I'm crazy. And I say, "Well, here's why. Because if we together can figure out what's on their minds, what are they reading, what are they talking about, what are they thinking about, then we can really make sure that we find a speaker who is going to address some of those things." But you have to ask the question, what's on your mind, to the executive? Why do you want to bring in an outside speaker? What are the outcomes you want? How do you want people to feel when they walk away from that meeting? Well, those are the kinds of, those are the things that are really hard questions sometimes, but without understanding that and knowing that, it's really hard to be able to recommend the right people.
You've got some big name speakers here. I saw that you have Patch Adams. Patch Adams, that was a great movie a few years ago. Les Brown, Richard Simmons, Barbara Walters.
Yeah. Well,
Now, do you reach out to organizations to help them not make those kinds of mistakes? To let them know that you exist, or do you just have regular clients you keep in touch with?
Well, it's both. I mean, we certainly, one of the things I again feel so proud about is that we really have very, very loyal clients. And so with many organizations, we pretty much do all their meetings because there's that trust. Trust is a huge part of our business. And I trust when a meeting planner is telling me what's going on in their organization, what issues might be out there. I trust when a speaker says, "Honestly, I really am an expert in that field. Here's the things I can do." There's a lot of trust. So it's just, works both ways.
Now, are you always looking for speakers? Are you seeking speakers, or do you have plenty?
That's a tough question because
There's got to be a market for the kind of speakers,
well,
right?
there's thousands and thousands of speakers out there. So do we bring on new speakers? Absolutely. Do we have enough? Absolutely. I mean, it's both. But because we do a lot of research on behalf of our clients, sometimes they'll ask for things that we just don't really have anyone who has that particular area of expertise. And that's really important. I think these days, especially, people really want to make sure that when that audience leaves and either goes home or to the office, they have some tangible tools or new ways of thinking, whatever it might be, that they can actually implement right away.
Okay, well, we're going to take a short break, and what I want to do is ask you to stay through the break.
Sure.
And when we come back, I'd like to see if you can offer some tips to the viewers who are considering adding speaking to their marketing plan, and whether they help guide them whether they should be working with a speakers bureau or
Sure.
not. So,
Happy to answer any of those questions.
if anyone knows what it takes to be a successful professional speaker, it's going to be the Speakers Bureau, of course. Now, they're in direct contact with clients and know exactly what they're looking for. I asked Diane to share a few of her top tips on professional speaking, and we'll be discussing those in my next segment. To find out what they're all about, you'll have to stay with us through the break, so don't go away. We'll be right back.